Here's a question that keeps people up at night. What's the best age to buy a home? And here's what's wild. If you Google this right now, you'll find articles telling you to buy as young as possible, build that equity, stop wasting money on rent. Then you scroll down and find other experts saying, wait, don't rush, you're not ready. And then your dad's telling you he bought his first house at 24 making $30,000 a year, and it was the best decision he ever made. Cool, Dad, but that was 1987 and houses cost what a used car costs today. So what's the real answer? That's what we're breaking down today, and I promise you, by the end of this video you're gonna know exactly whether you should buy now or wait. No BS, no selling you anything, just the truth. Let's get into it. Alright, let me just rip the band-aid off right now. There is no perfect age to buy a home. I know, you wanted me to say 28 or 32 or whatever, but here's why that's the wrong question. Two people who are both 29 years old can be in completely different places in life. One person's been working the same stable job for 6 years, has 20 grand saved up, no debt, and knows they're staying in Denver for the foreseeable future. The other person just switched careers, has student loans, isn't sure if they're staying in their city, and has maybe $4,000 in savings. Same age, totally different situations. So which one should buy a house? Obviously the first person, right? Age has nothing to do with it. It's about where you are in life, not how many birthdays you've had. But here's what's interesting. Different decades do come with different patterns, different challenges, different advantages. So let's walk through them and you can figure out where you actually fit. Let's talk about buying in your 20s, because this is where you hear the most aggressive advice. Everyone's telling you to buy young, start building equity, don't waste another dollar on rent. And look, I get it. The math sounds great on paper. Buy at 24, pay it off by 54, retire with no housing payment. Sounds amazing, right? But here's what nobody tells you. Your 20s are messy. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a normal way. You're figuring out your career. You might switch jobs 3 times. You might move cities for a better opportunity. You might realize the thing you went to college for isn't actually what you want to do. That's not failure, that's called being in your 20s. But here's the problem. A house locks you down. You can't just pack up and leave when you own a house. Selling is expensive. You've got realtor fees, closing costs, repairs you need to make before you list it. If you have to sell after 2 years because you got a job offer across the country, there's a very real chance you lose money. I've seen it happen to so many people. They buy at 26 because they feel like they're supposed to. Then at 28, they get an amazing opportunity in another state and they're stuck. They either turn down the opportunity or they sell at a loss. Both options suck. Then there's the money part. Most people in their 20s don't have a big emergency fund yet. They're still paying off student loans, maybe some credit card debt. And when you own a home, stuff breaks. The water heater dies on a Sunday night. The AC goes out in July. The roof starts leaking. If you don't have a solid savings cushion, these things can wreck your finances. Now, does that mean no one should buy in their 20s? No. If you've got a stable job in a city you know you're staying in, if you've got savings beyond just your down payment, if you're genuinely ready to put down roots, then yeah, buying young can be a great move. But if you're buying because you feel pressure, because everyone else is doing it, because some guru on Instagram said you're throwing away money on rent, that's a terrible reason, and it'll cost you way more than rent ever would. Now let's talk about your 30s, because this is when things get real. This is the decade when everyone around you seems to be buying houses. You're scrolling Instagram and it's all housewarming parties and backyard pictures. Your friends are talking about mortgage rates and property taxes. Maybe you're thinking about starting a family or you already have kids. You want space, you want stability, you want your own place. The pressure is intense. But here's the thing. For a lot of people, your 30s actually are the sweet spot for buying. And here's why. By your 30s, you've probably figured out your career. You're not hopping around anymore. You're making more money than you were at 25. You've built up some savings. You have a clearer picture of where you want to live and what kind of life you're building. You're also way more likely to stay put. If you buy at 33, odds are you're still going to be there at 40, maybe longer. That gives you time to build real equity, ride out the market ups and downs, and actually benefit from owning instead of renting. Your income's higher, your credit's better, you know what you want. That's a strong position to buy from. But here's the catch. Home prices are higher than they were when you were 25. Depending on where you live, way higher. You're competing with people who've been saving longer, who have bigger down payments. If you spent your 20s building your career and your savings, that's great. But it also means you're entering the market later when everything costs more. There's also just more complexity in your life now. If you have kids, you're not just buying any house. You're buying in a specific school district. You need to be near family or near good parks or in a neighborhood that feels safe. The stakes feel way higher because it's not just about you anymore. So if you're in your 30s right now, here's what to ask yourself. Do I have stable income that I can count on? Do I know I'm staying in this area for at at least 5 years? Can I afford this without stretching myself so thin that one emergency wipes me out? If you can say yes to those questions, your 30s might be the perfect time. If you're hesitating on any of them, it's okay to wait. What if you're in your 40s and you haven't bought yet? A lot of people feel like they've missed the boat, like they're too late. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's completely wrong. Buying in your 40s or even your 50s can actually be one of the smartest financial moves you ever make. Here's why. By your 40s, you're probably earning the most you've ever earned. Your savings are stronger. Your credit score is better. You know exactly what you want and what you don't want. You're not guessing about your lifestyle anymore. You're living it. You've got perspective. You're not buying because it's what you're supposed to do or because your friends are doing it. You're buying because it actually fits your life. Maybe that's a smaller house because your kids are grown and gone. Maybe it's a place closer to work because you're done with hour-long commutes. Maybe it's somewhere you've always wanted to live and now you finally can. You're making decisions from a position of strength, not panic. That's powerful. The downside? Time horizon. If you buy at 45, you've got fewer years to pay off the mortgage before retirement. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It just means you need to think about it differently. You might not see as much long-term appreciation if you're planning to sell in 10 or 15 years instead of 30. But here's the thing that people forget. Not everyone buys a home as an investment. Some people buy because they want stability. They're tired of rent increases every year. They're tired of landlords who won't fix things. They want a place that's theirs, where they can paint the walls whatever color they want and have a garden and just feel settled. And that's a completely valid reason to buy. Buying in your 40s isn't late. It's just different. And for a lot of people, it's actually the best decision they ever make because they're doing it with clarity, not confusion. Okay, so we've talked about 20s, 30s, 40s, but let's cut through all of it and talk about what actually matters. Because age is just context. The real factors that determine whether you should buy have nothing to do with how old you are. Let me give you the 5 things that actually matter. First, income stability. Do you have a paycheck you can count on? Are you in an industry where layoffs happen all the time? Or do you feel pretty secure? Because a mortgage doesn't care if you had a tough month. It's due on the first either way. Second, emergency savings. This is the big one that people ignore and it destroys them later. You need money beyond your down payment. 3 to 6 months of expenses plus a fund for home repairs. If you're draining every dollar you have just to buy the house, you're setting yourself up for disaster. Third, how long are you staying? If you're not planning to be in the area for at least 5 years, don't buy. Renting is smarter. Buying and selling quickly is expensive and you won't build enough equity to make it worth it. Fourth, your debt situation. If you've got high-interest credit card debt or massive student loans eating up your income, buying a house should not be your next move. Get that under control first. Your life will be so much easier. And fifth, mental readiness. Are you actually ready to deal with maintenance and repairs? Are you okay with being tied to one location? Do you genuinely want to own, or do you just feel like you should because everyone's telling you to? These 5 things matter infinitely more than whether you're 27 or 37. If you've got these 5 locked in, you're ready. If you don't, you're not. It's that simple. Alright, let me make this even easier for you. Here's a simple framework you can use right now to figure out if you should buy. Ask yourself these 4 questions. 1. Can I comfortably afford the monthly mortgage payment plus property taxes, insurance, and maintenance without feeling financially stressed? 2. Do I have at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved up after I make my down payment? 3. Am I planning to stay in this area for at least 5 years? And 4. Is my income stable and do I feel secure in my job or my career path? If you can say yes to all 4 of those, you're probably ready to buy. If you're saying maybe or I think so to more than one, you should wait. And listen, waiting is not failing. Waiting is not falling behind. Waiting is being smart. It's protecting yourself from making a decision that could hurt you financially for years. Here's the bottom line, and I really want you to hear this. There is no such thing as too early or too late when it comes to buying a home. There's only right timing and wrong timing. And that timing is based on your life, your finances, your stability, not your age, not what your friends are doing, not what some article told you. Buying at the wrong time just because you think you're supposed to is way worse than buying a few years later when you're actually ready. I've seen people buy at 25 and regret it. I've seen people buy at 50 and it changed their life for the better. It's all about readiness. So if you're 26 and you've got your stuff together, go for it. If you're 46 and you're just now in a position to buy, that's great too. What matters news is that when you make this decision, you're making it from a place of strength, clarity, and honest self-assessment. Not fear, not pressure, not comparison. Take your time, run the numbers, be brutally honest with yourself about where you actually are. And when the time is right, you'll know. You'll feel it, and that's when you move. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.